If you're truly one of the chosen ones, then this message is meant for you. Listen closely, because what you're about to discover will change everything. There's a hidden power inside you that most people never tap into, a power that sets you apart from the crowd. It's not about loud success or flashy achievements, it's quieter, deeper, and far more profound. It's the power of saying no. Yes, the simple act of saying no holds the key to unlocking your true potential, your freedom, and your destiny. But this isn't easy. It takes courage, clarity, and an unshakable belief in yourself. So stay with me until the very end, because if you embrace this truth, your life will never be the same. This is your awakening. This is your path. This is the power of saying no. 1. Awakening to your boundaries. In a world that constantly demands our attention, energy, and compliance, the greatest act of rebellion is often the simplest word: no. For the chosen ones, those rare souls who feel an innate pull toward their own truth and purpose, mastering the power of saying no is not just a skill, but a necessity. It is the gateway that unlocks freedom, self-respect, and the clarity to walk a path few dare to tread. But understanding this power does not come easily, because from the moment we learn to speak, the world pressures us to say yes. Yes to obligations, yes to distractions, yes to conformity. We are taught that cooperation is virtue and refusal is selfishness, and so the word no is swallowed, muted, or twisted into excuses that carry little weight. Yet inside, the chosen ones feel a quiet resistance building, a simmering fire of boundaries begging to be drawn. This fire is not about shutting out the world, but about protecting the sacred space where their true potential can flourish. The power of saying no begins as a whisper in the soul, an instinct that something must change. It is that gut feeling that rises when you are pulled in too many directions, when your time and energy are traded for things that dim your light instead of amplifying it. Saying no means acknowledging that your time is your most precious resource, that your attention is a currency to be spent wisely. But this awareness is often met with guilt, doubt, and the haunting question: what if saying no alienates the people I love or closes doors to opportunity? For the chosen ones, the answer lies not in fear, but in clarity. Saying no is not about rejection for its own sake. It is a sacred boundary that preserves the integrity of your mission and the sanctity of your spirit. It is a declaration that your life is yours to shape, and only by choosing what aligns with your highest self can you truly thrive. History is filled with those who harnessed this power and transformed their lives and the world. They were the ones who refused to conform to toxic expectations, who turned down invitations to mediocrity, who walked away from relationships and careers that drained their souls. The chosen ones know that every no they utter carves space for a yes that matters, a yes to dreams that excite them, to people who elevate them, to causes that resonate with their deepest values. But this journey is not without its trials. Saying no often means standing alone, facing judgment, and confronting your own fears of scarcity and unworthiness. The path is riddled with discomfort because it challenges the fundamental human need to belong. Yet, it is in this discomfort that the chosen ones find their strength, discovering that true belonging begins within, in the fierce love and respect they cultivate for themselves. Learning to say no is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice of self-awareness and courage. It requires tuning in to the subtle signals of exhaustion, resentment, and distraction that our bodies and minds send us daily. It means asking ourselves, is this choice feeding my soul or depleting it? Does this yes bring me closer to who I am meant to become, or further away? For the chosen ones, this questioning becomes a sacred ritual, a way to sift through the noise and focus on what truly matters. It is a reclaiming of agency in a culture that thrives on busyness and compliance. And with every no, the chosen ones grow more aligned, more powerful, and more unshakable in their purpose. But the power of saying no extends beyond personal boundaries. It ripples outward, inspiring others to honor their own limits and to resist the subtle coercions of society. When the chosen ones say no to what does not serve them, they model a new way of being, one where respect for self and others coexist, where integrity trumps convenience, and where the courage to refuse opens the door to deeper connections and greater fulfillment. This power is revolutionary because it challenges the status quo of endless consumption and approval seeking. It invites a culture of mindfulness, intentionality, and radical self-care. The chosen ones become beacons, lighting a path for those lost in the chaos of demands, showing that liberation is possible through the simple, profound act of saying no. As we begin this journey into the power of saying no, remember that this is not about building walls, but about creating sacred spaces. It is about reclaiming the narrative of your life from the noise of obligation and expectation. The chosen ones carry this power not as a weapon, but as a shield and a key. A shield to protect their essence, and a key to unlock the destiny waiting beyond the limits imposed by others. In the next part, we will explore the internal struggles and the transformative moments that shape the chosen one's relationship with no, revealing how this word becomes their greatest ally in the quest for freedom and purpose. 2. The inner battle and the turning point. The journey toward embracing the power of saying no is never smooth or simple. For the chosen ones, it begins as a quiet inner battle, a wrestling match between the impulse to honor their truth and the ingrained fear of loss of approval, love, opportunity, and sometimes even their own identity. This struggle is the crucible where the power of no is forged, where clarity and courage are born from the rawest of human experiences. Early on, the chosen ones find themselves trapped in a web of obligations and expectations, spun by family, culture, work, and even their own self-doubt. Every no they consider feels like a gamble, a risk of breaking bonds that feel essential for survival. They carry the heavy weight of what if, the what ifs that haunt every refusal. What if I lose a friend? What if I miss my chance? What if I'm judged as selfish or ungrateful? These fears are not imagined, but deeply rooted in human nature. We are wired to connect, to belong, and to avoid rejection. The chosen ones are no exception. In fact, their sensitivity to meaning and connection can amplify the torment of saying no. They agonize over the ripple effects of their boundaries, doubting if their no is worth the price. But what distinguishes the chosen ones is that beneath the fear lies an unyielding truth, the recognition that endless yeses come at the cost of their soul. They see the pattern. The more they say yes to what drains them, the more they lose touch with their essence and purpose. This growing dissonance becomes unbearable, a silent scream echoing beneath the surface of their everyday lives. And it is this pain, this disquiet, that sparks the turning point. The turning point arrives like a thunderclap or a gentle awakening, unique to each chosen one's story, but always marked by a moment of profound clarity. It could be a breaking point, a burnout, a heartbreak, a moment when the weight of too many yeses becomes too heavy to carry. or it can be a quiet realization during a solitary walk, a sudden understanding that their life cannot continue on this path. At this moment, the chosen ones confront a critical question. Am I living for others' expectations, or am I living for myself? This question is both liberating and terrifying because it strips away excuses and forces an honest reckoning. To say no is to claim their truth, but to do so requires relinquishing the safety net of approval and acceptance. It demands fierce self-love and the courage to stand alone if necessary. Once the chosen ones take that first decisive no, the landscape begins to shift. The internal battle doesn't vanish overnight. Fear still lurks, and guilt may visit as an unwelcome companion. But with every no spoken, the chosen ones discover a hidden reservoir of strength, a deepening trust in their intuition, and a growing respect for their own needs. This strength is not born from stubbornness, but from a tender self-respect that recognizes boundaries as acts of kindness toward themselves and others. They learn that saying no does not burn bridges, but often builds new, stronger ones. Connections forged through honesty and mutual respect rather than obligation. Each refusal becomes a step toward clarity, freedom, and alignment with their true path. In this transformation, the chosen ones begin to understand that no is not a limitation, but a powerful form of liberation. It frees their energy to pursue what truly matters, to focus on their passions, relationships, and goals that light them up from within. They reclaim time for rest, creativity, and growth, elements essential to living a fulfilled, authentic life. And paradoxically, the more they say no to what doesn't serve them, the more yes-worthy opportunities arise, because their lives are no longer cluttered with distractions and compromises. They become architects of their destiny, curating their experiences with intention and discernment. This mastery over no is not about rigid control, but about wise stewardship of their most precious resource, themselves. Yet, this power comes with responsibility. The chosen ones recognize that saying no is not an excuse for selfishness, but an invitation to live with integrity and compassion. It challenges them to communicate their boundaries clearly and kindly, to navigate relationships with empathy rather than avoidance. This means confronting uncomfortable conversations and standing firm even when others resist or react with confusion or hurt. It means trusting that true relationships will withstand honest boundaries and that false ones will reveal themselves, freeing the chosen ones from the burden of obligation. Through this process, they cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections, relationships based on respect, authenticity, and mutual growth. As the chosen ones embrace this path, they begin to see the profound ripple effect of their no. Their courage encourages others to examine their own boundaries, inspiring a collective shift away from the culture of constant yes. They become living proof that freedom and fulfillment come not from endless compliance, but from intentional refusal, a refusal to sacrifice one's truth for fleeting approval. In the next part, we will dive deeper into the practical wisdom and mindset shifts that empower the chosen ones to wield the power of no with grace and strength, transforming challenges into opportunities for growth and sovereignty. 3. Embracing no as a tool for transformation. Saying no is more than just a word or a simple refusal. For the chosen ones, it becomes a transformative tool that reshapes their lives from the inside out. This transformation begins when no is understood, not as denial, but as a sacred act of protection, an armor forged from clarity and self-respect. At this stage, the chosen ones stop fearing the consequences of no because they start to see its true purpose, preserving their energy, their time, and their emotional well-being. Instead of reacting impulsively to demands or expectations, they learn to pause, to reflect deeply on what aligns with their values and what does not. This space between impulse and action, the space where no is born, becomes their sanctuary, their power center. Here, they reclaim control over their own lives and chart a course guided by intention rather than obligation. This practice, however, requires more than just willpower. It demands a fundamental mindset shift. The chosen ones come to realize that their value does not depend on how much they give or how many yeses they offer, but on their inherent worth as individuals. This awareness is a radical departure from the conditioning most people grow up with, where self-worth is often measured by usefulness, productivity, or social acceptance. For the chosen ones, embracing no means dismantling these old beliefs and replacing them with a new truth. They are enough exactly as they are. This truth becomes the foundation for every boundary they set, infusing each no with confidence and peace rather than guilt or anxiety. It also frees them from the exhausting need to prove themselves or to constantly seek approval, allowing them to focus on what genuinely fuels their soul. With this inner revolution underway, the chosen ones begin to experience profound shifts in their external world. The relationships that once felt draining or one-sided start to evolve, sometimes by deepening through newfound honesty, other times by gently falling away when boundaries are not respected. This natural culling process, though painful, is necessary for growth. It clears the path for connections that honor individuality and mutual respect. At work, the chosen ones discover that saying no to extra tasks or toxic dynamics opens doors for more meaningful projects aligned with their purpose. They find themselves with renewed energy and creativity, no longer scattered or overwhelmed by endless demands. This recalibration of priorities leads to an unexpected abundance, not just of time and resources, but of clarity, joy, and fulfillment. The chosen ones also learn that no is a tool for self-care, not selfishness. This distinction is crucial because it reframes how they approach refusal. Saying no becomes an act of kindness toward themselves, a way to preserve their mental, emotional, and physical health. In a culture that often glorifies sacrifice and overwork, this stance can feel revolutionary. The chosen ones challenge the narrative that to succeed or be loved, they must say yes to everything. Instead, they embrace no as a radical affirmation of their humanity, a recognition that their needs matter and that protecting those needs is essential for lasting impact. This commitment to self-care through no is not about avoidance, but about sustainable living, where boundaries are respected and personal resources replenished. However, mastering the power of no is not without its challenges. The chosen ones confront internal resistance, the doubts, fears, and old stories that try to sabotage their progress. Sometimes the no comes with a heavy heart, shadowed by loneliness or second-guessing. Yet, over time, these struggles become less daunting as the chosen ones build resilience through practice and self-compassion. They develop rituals to reinforce their boundaries, whether through journaling, meditation, or seeking support from like-minded souls. They learn to celebrate their no's, recognizing each one as a victory, a step toward wholeness and freedom. This ongoing commitment turns no into a practice, a daily act of courage that reaffirms their sovereignty and deepens their connection to themselves. Ultimately, The chosen ones understand that the power of saying no is inseparable from their journey of becoming. It is a sacred dance between vulnerability and strength, a path that calls for both fierce protection and open-heartedness. By owning their no, they unlock doors to deeper authenticity and creativity, transforming obstacles into opportunities. The power of no does not isolate them, but connects them more fully to their purpose, their passions, and their tribe. It becomes a beacon for others seeking freedom from the chains of obligation and fear. In the final part, we will explore how the chosen ones integrate this power into every aspect of their lives, and how saying no shapes a future defined by empowerment, clarity, and fulfillment. 4. Living the legacy of number. The journey of the chosen ones does not end when they learn to say no. It only begins there. Saying no becomes the cornerstone of a life built on authenticity, intention, and courage. It shapes every decision, every relationship, and every dream they dare to pursue. This power is not static, but dynamic, evolving as they grow deeper in their understanding of themselves and the world around them. Living with the power of no means embracing uncertainty with confidence, knowing that each refusal is a step closer to a life that truly belongs to them. It means facing the discomfort of disappointing others with grace and finding peace in the knowledge that pleasing everyone is neither possible nor necessary. For the chosen ones, no is a sacred gate that leads to freedom. Not just freedom from external pressures, but freedom from internal conflict and compromise. This freedom opens the door to a clearer vision of purpose. When the noise of constant yeses fades away, the chosen ones hear the subtle whispers of their deepest desires and truths. They learn to nurture these inner callings with patience and devotion, allowing their talents and passions to flourish without dilution. Saying no to distractions and meaningless obligations creates space for the extraordinary to emerge, whether it is in creative expression, leadership, healing, or service to others. In this way, no becomes a catalyst for contribution, fueling a cycle of giving that comes from abundance rather than depletion. The chosen ones inspire others not by doing more, but by doing what matters most, demonstrating that true power lies in discernment and choice. Moreover, the legacy of no extends beyond the individual. It ripples through communities and generations. When the chosen ones set boundaries and honor their own needs, they model a different way of being that challenges cultural norms of people-pleasing and overcommitment. They teach those around them that saying no is not rejection, but an act of self-respect that honors the whole. This ripple effect can transform families, workplaces, and societies, planting seeds of healthier communication and mutual respect. Children learn that their feelings matter. Colleagues learn to balance collaboration with autonomy. Communities learn to celebrate individuality alongside connection. The chosen ones become architects of a new paradigm, one where empowerment is rooted in clarity and courage rather than conformity and exhaustion. Yet, this path is never without its tests. The chosen ones face moments of doubt, isolation, and even backlash. Some will misunderstand or resent their boundaries, tempting them to revert to old patterns of compliance. But with every challenge, the chosen ones deepen their commitment to the truth of no. They remember that every no spoken in alignment with their values is a brick laid in the foundation of their sovereignty. They draw strength from their own resilience and from the support of those who respect their journey. In this way, the power of no becomes a source of liberation, not just for themselves, but for everyone who witnesses their courage. It is a testament to the human spirit's capacity to redefine its limits and reclaim its freedom. In the end, the power of saying no is the power of saying yes to oneself, to one's dreams, and to a life lived with purpose and integrity. It is a gift the chosen ones give not only to themselves, but to the world, reminding us all that sometimes the greatest strength lies in the courage to refuse. As you walk your own path, remember that every no you speak is an act of creation, shaping a reality where your highest self can thrive. Embrace this power and watch as it transforms your life into a masterpiece of clarity, freedom, and profound fulfillment.